Before the video does begin, my guild Dishonor is recruiting. We're looking for new members to join us, and right now our requirements are to at least clear every very hard guild quest with at least 30 seconds left. If you fit the requirements and you're interested in joining an S-rank guild, where we do aim for the top 5 in any given week, feel free to reach out to me on Discord or reach out to my guild leader, Zan. Our Discords are on the screen. Alright, lads, so tomorrow afternoon we are getting the return of the Nightmare Guild quest. It has been a few months since we last received this. The last time it happened was in January. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make content on that at the time since I was actually in Japan. But this time we're back, we're here, and we will be live streaming tomorrow when this Nightmare GQ does go live. Now remember, the Nightmare difficulty in and of itself is actually quite difficult given the boss's stats. On your screen right now is what it does look like. Starting from boss number 1, here they have 29 million HP, going all the way to boss number 5, which has 45 million HP. Additionally, their defense stat is actually really high. In this case, almost all of them having 4,500 defense. What this does mean is that if you are using normal attack damage characters, you need to have an attack stat higher than their defense stat to even do damage. So of course, ideally the way you would want to build your characters is you need to make sure they're level 10 attack. You need to make sure they have level 20 link sorts. Ideally, you would also want to give them the attack stat bonus ability. And you also want to make sure you have a team booster in your team to give you that 43 or 33% extra attack. For your SP characters, it's going to be the same thing. It's almost a requirement, a minimum, that you're level 20 link sort and also level 10 SP. The more dupes you can get, the better. Now for this week in Nightmare GQ, we are going against the mini ARRANCAR guild quest. That will be phase number 1, where the boss order will be heart, technique, speed, power, and then also mind. And then the second phase will be for melee no affiliation killers, in which we are going against a technique boss, then speed, then power, then mind, and then heart. So in this case, given the fact that the final bosses do have 45 million HP, having a heart character for the melee ARRANCAR guild quest and a mind character for the melee no affiliation guild quest will be ultimately ideal. With that said though, let's have a look at some of the best team setups you can bring, and keep in mind, given the difficulty status here, you are limited on what character you can bring. Ideally, you want to bring the best possible options. So for melee ARRANCAR guild quest, to no one's surprise, as we demonstrated multiple times on the channel since this guild quest was already here in the past, your best lead is going to be 1000 Year Blood War Kilgay. And that's thanks to his high damage output with Frenzy +2, 80% SP boost, and also the Rampage skill. Thanks to his Vortex SE2, you're ensured to do a lot of damage while also providing some really good crowd control to keep your teammates alive. He currently just returned, so maybe you have him, and it's definitely worth taking him into this quest. If you don't have him, a good option, although keep in mind, ideally you would want to have duplicates into this character. We also have 7th Anniversary Uryu. With his Frenzy +2 and also gauge effect, it does mean that his strong attacks come back more often, and it also means that when the gauge is active, you are doing a ridiculous amount of damage. With Uryu though, since he doesn't have any crowd control, you are going to have to be quite careful. So ideally, when using Uryu, you would like to have someone with a boost SA2 to go alongside him to protect you and also your teammates. And these are easily the go-to leads for the melee ARRANCAR guild quest that I know can beat it because I tested it myself. As for the other characters, you can definitely try someone like 1000 Year Blood War Rukia. Her increased chance to inflict freeze will definitely provide some good crowd control. Spirits are forever with you Yoruichi with her SP boost and also good damage output. And even Spirits are forever with you Mayuri. Those 3 characters are question marks, because I've seen people beat it with these characters, but it comes at the caveat that your sides have to be max transcended. So the easier options are definitely Kilgay and 7th Anniversary Uryu. If you don't have those 2, your next best 3 characters will be these 3, but you will need to compensate with some really good NAD characters, maybe more transcendent investment into them. And speaking of those characters, let's talk about your team boosters. In this case, you have 2 options. You have 1000 Year Blood War Soifon. She's going to be really good here. Crowd control on her SA2 with the Vortex. She does provide your team with a 43% attack, focus, and defense increase. And thanks to her Resurrection, she's immune to freeze, so she'll have a definitely easier time in this quest, doing a lot of damage herself, but most importantly, boosting your team. She does provide more stats when it comes to that boost, thanks to a booster skill, but you might also want to replace her, maybe another character you can bring, New Year's Renji. He gives less stats with his boost since he does lack the booster skill, but the benefit of Renji is that he actually does have a boost and barrier SA2. So instead of providing your team with a 43% attack, focus, and defense increase, it will only be 33%, but he is giving himself a +5 barrier and a +3 barrier for your teammates. If you are using a lead other than Kilgay, having someone like New Year Renji is going to be really good to potentially keep your team protected. Either or character here is going to be a good option. You can even use both in the same team, but in my opinion, almost every team for this Nightmare guild quest wants to feature Soifon or also New Year Renji. Your more traditional Nat characters though, we have Past Kaname, probably the best normal attack damage character for this week in terms of damage output. He does start the quest with a plus 10 barrier, although that will quickly wear off after 20 seconds, but he has a high damage output, which gets further increased in guild quests. So an easy go-to character for this week if you do have him. And an equally as good substitute for Kaname is of course also Fierce Battle Neliel, same type of character. She has a good damage output, which gets further increased in guild quests. In my opinion, the best team that you can bring for this guild quest is going to be Kyogre, Soifon, and also Past Kaname. This has a good combination of crowd control, team booster, and also a really good damage dealer in Kyogre, Soifon to a certain extent, and of course also Kaname. If you find that your team is taking damage and you want to keep their full stamina, then replace Soifon with New Year's Renji. That then takes us into the second part of the week, where we are going against no affiliation enemies. And in this particular phase, we have a lot more options. So first up, let's have a look at our good leads. To no one's surprise, the best character for this week is going to be 1000 Year Blood War Yuha. Very similar to Kyogre, he has a high damage output thanks to his Frenzy plus 2, 80% SP boost when you do apply a stat as Summon, and in Yuha's case, he can apply Weakening, which will give you a short 2-second period of being able to do 50% more damage. Yuha's damage output gets further increased with his enemies defeated bonuses, and he also does provide the team with really good crowd control thanks to his SA2 and also SA1. Fortunately for Yuha, the final boss is a hot character, so no character is going to be better than this particular Yuha. Don't have him? Well, your next best options are going to be the following. 8th Anniversary White. Now, in White's case, he can't provide the greatest set of crowd control, but the benefit with White is that he can actually apply Lacerate. And Lacerate actually stops the opponents, the enemies more so, the bosses, from even doing damage to you, because once they're lacerated, they can't use their strong attacks. So even though he doesn't provide the greatest set of crowd control, he definitely can still stop the opponents from even attacking you. And White himself also has a good damage output, Frenzy plus 2, 80% SP boost, more damage to lacerated and weakened enemies, over a good character and definitely worth using. Likewise, in the immediate ARRANCAR guild quest, 7th Anniversary Uryu should still be a good option here. The first boss being a technique character does this character more favors, since he'll be the weakest at the start, which is the weakest enemy. And then of course, to a lesser extent, you also have Spirits after with you Gin. Not the craziest damage output, but he still does have Frenzy plus 2 with more damage to poison enemies, but most importantly, he does have a Tracking Vortex SA2 to provide your team with crowd control in case you do need it. Any of these 4 characters will be a good lead for this week. Ideally though, you would like to use Yuha. And of course, to go alongside those amazing SP characters, we also have the following normal attack damage characters. Now for your team booster, you have 2 options. Of course, the best option here is going to be Spirits after with you Soifon. In her case, she has a good damage output, but most importantly, she provides your team with a boost SA2 and also barrier. 33% attack focused in defense, plus 5 barrier for herself, and a plus 3 barrier for your teammates. This should, especially alongside a potential Tracking Vortex character, easily should be able to keep your team at full stamina. Soifon also has built-in recharge, so SA2 does come back a tad bit faster, which is ideally what you want to do with these characters. If you are using a boost character, you want to give them recharge so the boost is always active. Don't have Safui Soifon, but coincidentally have 1000 Year Blood War Byakuya, well, he's also a potentially good team booster. While he isn't going to be doing consistent damage since he isn't a normal attack damage character, he does provide more stats with his SA2 since he does come with the booster skill. So instead of a 33% attack increase, it will be a 43% attack increase. The thing with Byakuya though is that he does want to stay at full stamina, so ideally you would like to have a Tracking Vortex character in your team, so I wouldn't recommend using Byakuya unless you have someone like Safui Gin and also Yuha in your team. Looking at our main damage dealers here though, we also can use characters like Yami, a character that no one's really spoken about given his release after the 8th anniversary, and also the fact that it is just a base Yami, but he is designed for guild quests, does more damage in guild quests, does more damage to weakened enemies, and also can weaken. If you have him, level 10 attack, level 20 link shots, should be an easy go-to character to deal a lot of damage. Likewise, you can also use 1000 Year Blood War Prime Yamamoto. In this case, while he is designed for brave battles, he is still going to be good here because he does have Flurry plus 2, and also occasionally will use his SA2, which will provide a debuff in which you'll lower the enemy stats by 33%. Additionally, you can also use the Technical Kisuke, very similar character to Yamamoto in the sense that he is a normal attack damage character, which can provide a debuff on the SA2, but most importantly, this Kisuke does do more damage in guild quests, and since he is a hard character, he is doing more damage against the 4th boss, which does have over 40 million HP, and this Kisuke should easily be one of the go-to characters for this week, although keep in mind, if you are using this character, he is not immune to burn, which is the status element that you will see on this guild quest, so you would like to give him some type of immunity for either bonus abilities or links. And then I guess an honorable mention would be Sajin, the Spirits Off with you version. Again, once more a no attack damage character, but he does have a good damage output since he was given Flurry +2. So when it comes to your go-to team, if you have the characters, definitely use 1000 Year Blood War Yuha Bark, pair him with Spirits Off with you Soifon or Byakuya for your team booster, and then use Yami, Yamamoto, or Kisuke as your main normal attack damage character, and you honestly should be fine. You would then want to use substitutes like 8th Anniversary White, 7th Anniversary Uryu. If you are using these characters, again, once more important on Safui Soifon, since she does have a boost and barrier, being able to potentially keep your team at full stamina or even alive. With that said though, that's the quick breakdown for the Nightmare Guild Quest, which will be releasing tomorrow. Again, we will be live at the time. And remember, being able to beat both phases of the Nightmare Guild Quest does offer you 150 orbs just for this week alone. And that doesn't include the potential rewards you might get depending on the guild ranking you are in. Hope to see you lads in the stream tomorrow though. Take care and peace.